Welcome, sweet friends. I'm Machelle Lee, and I'm looking forward to sharing this gentle, slower paced, kind of mixed level practice with you today. To start our practice, know that you could be seated cross-legged on the floor. If you prefer to be in a kneeling position on a cushion or blocks, or using your own body, feel free. If your hip sockets tend to run pretty deep and sitting cross-legged is challenging, you may enjoy sitting up a little bit higher with a stack of blankets or with a bolster or blocks. So find the position that feels steady for you. And we'll begin with a mudra. The mudras are like yoga for the hands that create an intentionality, a prayerful position and intentionality. We'll start with the Bhu Mudra, B-H-U. And the Bhu Mudra is essentially taking your peace fingers up and tucking a ring finger and pinky finger in, where then thumb can then wrap over those fingers to hold them in place and create that energetic connection. And with the extended index finger and middle finger, we'll turn it down to root into the earth. The Bhu Mudra, the gesture of the earth, connecting in with the essence of stability and groundedness and self-knowing and safety, the nourishment that comes from the earth itself. Maybe feel a little lift at the perineum, the dome at the base of your torso, and a little lift up through the space underneath your belly. Give a little lift into sternum and feel the space in the throat. Possibly a lift up through the crown of the head, and yet ground down through this channel and into the fingers. The Bhu Mudra, the stability. Breathe into this grounded nature, letting the breath be natural at first, and then begin to give it a little bit of direction. Letting yourself inhale freely to a comfortable peak, and then focus on the depth of the exhalation, bringing the energy down into low belly and the tissues that you sit upon. Inhale, let breath fill to its comfortable peak. And then take a slow, long exhale, grounding, stable, rooted. Inhale deeply and exhale fully. Here in this stable force, we move upon our life journey confidently and freely. Coming back to the stability, deeply rooted like a tree, but the ability to sway with the passing winds of life and its situations. From here, let's open the fingers up and inhale, gather up into the palms of your hands. Exhale and bestow like a blessing, a breath through crown of the head, throat, chest, belly, into the base of the spine and beyond. Flip the hands and we'll inhale and sweep up, gather. And exhale, bring it down through a sweetness, a grounding. One more time, inhale, gather. And exhale through. Inhale, arms reach up and overhead, and we'll begin to move breath with subtle, gentle twists. Taking your right hand over to your left knee, left hand behind your back to the twist. We'll inhale, lift sternum, crown of the head, look gently over left shoulder. Keep breathing here. And on the next inhalation, reach the arms up and overhead. Exhale, twist it to the left. Lifting through sternum, crown, gazing gently back over right shoulder. Take one more deep breath here. And once you exhale, let's turn this into a rhythm. Inhale, arms sweep up and overhead. Exhale into the twist. Inhale, arms sweep overhead. And exhale, twist. One more time each side. Inhale, gather in your palms. Exhale, bring it down to root and gather. Inhale, sweep. Exhale, twist. Inhale, both hands up and overhead. And exhale down through the heart. If you wish, switch the leg that is in front, the leader here, to play in the hemispheres of the brain, to give a little reprieve to the hips. And maybe see if there's an intention, a personal prayer that you could gather into your practice. A word, an image, a feeling tone. A feeling tone is that which we can feel that we'd like to move towards this feeling or through a feeling, but we may not have the words for it. You can hold the feeling of what you'd like to evolve into and hold that near your heart. Let's open the hands out to Bhu Mudra again, plugging index finger and middle finger to the floor. We'll inhale deeply. Exhale fully, leave right hand to the ground, and we'll sweep left arm alongside the ear, maybe looking forward, keeping the spine in its C curve, possibly bringing ear down towards shoulder to open the side of your neck. If you're working with a tender neck, you might prefer looking down to the right hand. Let's inhale once more. And exhale, bring it through. Pause in Bhu Mudra to the stability, the gesture of the earth. Grounding through left hand, inhale, right arm sweeps. Bring it alongside the ear to look forward, C curve. Maybe bringing ear down towards shoulder to open the side of the neck a little more, or looking down to release the neck if that feels a bit strong. Let's inhale and rise back to Bhu Mudra one more time, feeling the stability of the earth. Inhale. Exhale. Let's shift over onto our hands and our knees. At hands and knees, place hands underneath the shoulders and knees under the hips. We'll take it into a back bend first as you inhale, tailbone up, gaze up. Exhale, hug into the belly and round the spine. Noticing these ends of the spine, take tailbone up, crown of the head up, all the spine follows. And then exhale, tuck tailbone under, crown of the head under, all of the spine follows. Inhale, sway back. Exhale, cat's back. Follow 3 more with your pace as we come into this rhythm and repetition to the tissues on the front and back side of the torso. This movement into the bones of the ribs and the spine, even to our shoulders meet arms at the shoulder sockets, hip sockets meet femurs. We'll inhale one more time. Exhale, sway back. Let's come back to a flat back and send our toes under. Rolling the toes under, press up and back to downward facing dog. Spread fingers wide, share weight between the front of the body through arms and to the back of the body through legs. You may like pawing through these heels, bending opposite elbow, pressing opposite heel down to try and warm up. Start warming up through calf, Achilles, fascia of the feet, hamstrings. So we've turned the perception, the body upside down. Let's take both heels lifted. Press both heels downward. Peek forward between the hands and either step to the top of the mat to forward bend, or you can pass through your hands and knees first and then step to the top of the mat. Creating equal feet, bow forward. Legs may be straighter, legs may be deeply bent. This is the pose of Uttanasana, the intense stretch. And so know that this is designed to come through the whole backside of the body, not just the hamstring. So it's mostly in your legs. Bend the knees more to bring it into your back and spine, head and neck. You may enjoy boxing opposite hand to opposite elbow. That pulls the shoulder blades a little bit away from each other and slides them up the back in a different way than if your arms were hanging down underneath your head. Let's deepen another breath or two. And then either come up flat back if you're working with a tender spine. Others of you may like rolling up the spine until you reach the peak. And we'll inhale, sweep both arms up and overhead. With arms up and overhead, take the right hand down along your side body and we'll reach left arm up and over to that C curve. Inhale, rise through center. Exhale, left hand down, right arm reaches, bow, opening right side of the body. Inhale, sweep arms up and overhead and bring hands back down to the heart center. Remembering the intention of your practice. This word, this phrase, this image, this project, person, feeling, tone. Connect the practice with your life, the psychology through the moving, living, energetic systems of these tissues. Let's release the hands down and up as we inhale. Hug into the belly, bow forward, forward fold. Inhale, rise, halfway lift. When you come halfway lift, imagine that the sternum is being pulled forward, shoulder blades are coming back towards each other. So it creates this long line, opening the front body through the chest and bringing the shoulder blades back towards each other. This is core, spine strengthening. Let's exhale and bow forward as this is spine stretching. Inhale, rise halfway up like a pump here. Exhale, fold. Inhale one more time. Exhale, fold. Let's bend through the knees and take the right leg back into a lunge. Work it quite a ways back so that when you bring your back knee to the floor, this front left knee is more or less hovering over your ankle bone and your heel itself. Now stay here and hold 3 breaths as we open up the front side of that right hip. Now you can stay here for the next few breaths, or hands can come to the knee to help you with your balance. And by lifting, we're increasing that tug through the front right side of the body and increasing the back bend. You can stay here and hold your balance and take just the right arm up to increase that tug on the right side. Or you can challenge the balance and increase the heart rate, both arms up and overhead. Let's inhale. Exhale, frame the front foot. You may have blocks, you may have books, you may have cans nearby that you can put underneath your hands. Maybe it's not as useful for you to have them here. Hands can be to the floor. And we're going to shift back to half splits, Ardha Hanumanasana. Whether your hamstring allows for the leg to go straight or it needs to stay more bent, flex that foot a bit towards you to activate that back line of the leg. The back may be a bit rounded here, or you can hug into your belly, draw your heart towards your toes and flatten out the back a bit. That brings in that bit of core strengthening again. Let's inhale one more time. Exhale fully here. Shift forward to hands and knees. Let's take hands to the floor. Reach left foot back behind you. Toes roll under and push back through that back heel, bringing it into the fascia of the foot, calf, and Achilles. Let's play more into the core by lifting that back left leg up, hugging into your belly, draw the heart forward, and now pulse this knee in towards the navel and curl like the cat's back. Inhale, kick back. It's like the cow's back. And exhale, pull it in. Inhale, this is abdominal stretching and back strengthening. And exhale, pull it in, abdominal strengthening, back stretching. One more time, inhale. To exhale. Let's inhale and reach this back. Bring this knee down to the floor. Take 3 cat and cow breaths here with a little nuanced movement with it. With child's, if you inhale, sway back. Exhale up to cat's back and shift your hips back towards your heels to the point of comfort to your ankles, knees, and spine. On an inhalation, come up. We'll take the sway back and let the exhalation begin this movement as we send it back towards child's. Take as many breaths as you need here. One more time. On an inhalation, take the sway back. On the exhalation, begin this cat's back and send it back. Keep breathing. Coming back to hands and knees, we'll come back to a flat spine, a little hug into your belly. And we're going to go back the opposite way in which we came. So if you'll extend the right leg back this time, roll its toes under, push back. Hug into the low belly, draw the heart forward, and let's lift the right leg up to this extended tabletop position. Taking 4 pulses, bring knee in towards navel, round the spine, abdominal crunch. Inhale, kick it back, draw your heart and gaze forward. Exhale, curl around. Inhale, kick it back. Exhale, curl. Inhale, kick it back. One more time. Inhale, kick back. And this time, bend into that right knee and step it forward between the hands. Help it out along the way. The nature of stepping forward can put the pressure on that back knee towards the lower patella. So will you roll your back toes under, lift the knee up, lower it back down? That can be a gentler pressure point for the knee. Definitely having pad underneath your knee is needed. Let's stay here 3 breaths as we work in service of this front quad and hip flexor and low belly. Now you can stay here the whole time, focusing on the balance and the work that you're doing in this lovely lunge, or you can bring hands to the front knee. Pause and hold here if we open up this left side a bit more. Or add the left arm reaching skyward. Right hand can be down to aid you with your balance. Or inhale, right arm skyward to increase the back bend, the front body opening, and increase the heart rate. Let's inhale. Exhale, frame the front foot. Keep the hips high. Shift back, half splits, utilizing your blocks or any personal belongings that can help make your arms a little longer here. Again, leg may be pretty straight with toes flexing back, or knee may be quite bent, but still pulling toes back. Hug into the low belly. See if you can direct your heart towards your toes. That may intensify the hamstring tug. If that's the case and it's too strong, let your back round a little bit and see how that affects. It's all connected. Let's shift forward into that right knee. Roll into your back toes and either step to the front of the mat, Uttanasana from here, or pass through hands and knees first, and then come to the top of the mat, where we can hang down again, dangling arms, or boxing opposite hand to opposite elbow, with legs straighter or bent. Soften into the weightiness of the head and breathe. Can you remember the intention of the practice here from this shift of perception upside down? Let's deepen our breath once more. Exhale and fold. Inhale, rise halfway up, drawing the shoulder blades back, heart forward, long straight line in the spine, whether legs are straight or bent. Inhale and rise to standing, arms sweep up and overhead. Exhale, bring hands down to the heart center, and pause for a moment in this mudra, this connection. Remember who you are. Releasing the hands down to the hips, let's turn to use the width of the mat side to side. Now, the right angle for each person's stance varies on their structure and proportion. You may enjoy having your legs far enough apart that when you bring your arms out to the side, your ankles are more or less underneath your wrists. This doesn't work for everyone, but it's a pretty good guideline for most. If you'll bring your hands then back to your side body. Let's keep the right toes pointing forward and pivot your left toes out. We'll inhale and open the arms out wide, and exhale, bend into the front knee, warrior two. Take a moment to pause and see where this front knee is going. If your stance is quite narrow, that knee may pass the ankle, and it becomes just a lot of work on the knee and for the quad muscles to hold you here. Instead, favor that when you bend your knee, that the knee hovers over the ankle, and there's that column of strength from knee down to the foot to hold you here. We'll inhale and open the arms wide, setting the gaze past the tips of the left fingers, and then let's pulse this. Draw the hands into the heart, straighten both legs, and then open out to warrior two again. That back leg stays strong. Inhale, come up. Exhale in. That rhythm and repetition through the movement of the front leg, moving blood, building strength. Pulse it twice more. Exhale out. Inhale, rise. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, rise. Exhale, take it out and hold. 3 breaths. Steady your gaze past the tips of your front fingers. Remember your intentionality, this courage, this will to move forward with this intention. Let's inhale back through the heart once more, a little reprieve to that front leg, and then open again as we build it into right angle warrior, bringing left forearm down to the front thigh. Reach right arm alongside the ear. Now you can hold this here or create a little rhythm and repetition of taking this arm down and back behind your back to work into the shoulder, look down to the floor. And then inhale, sweep this arm alongside your ear, look forward or look up. Twice more, bring it down, look down. Inhale, sweep it up, look forward or up. One more time, this rhythm and repetition for shoulders and neck, the strong stability for the lower body. Hold here. Let's inhale and rise back through to the center. Warrior two. Inhale, straighten both legs. Come back to equal standing. Step the feet into Tadasana and take a moment to notice and feel. What ripples, what remains that lets you know that you just practiced the Virabhadrasana 2, the Warrior 2. That brought us into that side angle, that instinctual warrior. Let's deepen our breath once more. And exhale, widen the stance out again. This time, going in the same direction, but taking triangle pose. Keep your right toes towards this direction and pivot your left foot out again. Inhale, arms expand. Hinge, so the first movement is your pelvis tilting towards your femur bone. And then let the second movement be your spine and your ribs. Hands may hover, which requires quite a bit more core strength engaging, or you can give weight, hold on to your bones, and give weight down into your arm bones here. Different triangle pose, both lovely, just different. Keep the heart shining forward no matter where this arm lands. We'll take 2 more breaths in the strength and the balance of Utthita Trikonasana, our triangle. Let's inhale and rise up. Turn the feet forward parallel. And now bow forward. Hands may come to a block. Hands may come to the floor. See if the legs can stay towards the straighter side so that we tug into inner groin and through the backs of the legs. For some of you, hands may prefer to stay underneath shoulders at block or floor. For some of you, if you've got more range of motion, you might like bringing your fingertips back in line with your toes, drawing the elbows towards each other and bending elbows through your legs like 2 number 7s here. Possibly bringing the crown to hover above the floor. If you have a favorite version of this wide leg forward bend, Prasarita Padottanasana, feel free to take it here. Let's ride 3 more breaths. We'll bring the hands to the hips. Rise halfway up, hug into the belly, strong spine, and then rise fully back to standing. Let's step the feet in towards each other and take a moment once again in our mountain pose. You may like lifting your toes and feeling the balance of ball and heel and then laying the toes back down. Feeling that hug, that lift at perineum, Mula Bandha up. That little lift at Uddiyana Bandha coming in and up. This lift through sternum and space at throat, Jalandhara Bandha. Maybe a little lift at the crown of the head. Let arms, the outer structure, be soft while you create this inward, upward integrity at the midline. Maybe take a breath or 2 with the intention of your practice to keep it close, the psychology and the energetics of the body and the mystery. Let's inhale. And once you exhale, we'll widen the stance out again, taking the same series now to your right. Giving it firm, wide, stable base. If you liked that cue of having your ankles more or less underneath your wrists, we'll bring hands to the hips. Turn your left toes forward, pivot the right toes to the side wall. So we're turning this front femur bone out. Let's inhale and open the arms, turn the gaze past the right fingers and bend into the front right knee. This power in the back left leg as we invoke, tug through the inner leg. Let's pulse it here. This time hands overhead. Inhale, rise, maybe gaze forward. And then exhale out to Virabhadrasana 2, the hero within, warrior 2. Inhale, rise. And exhale. Inhale, rise. And exhale, fill out the shape. Take it twice more. This rhythm and repetition, building strength, moving the blood. The next time you open out into your Vira 2, pause and hold. Steady the gaze to one unwavering point. Follow it for another breath or two. Let's take the right forearm, bring it down to the front thigh. We'll sweep left arm alongside the ear, gazing forward or down, depending what feels well to your neck. You can hold this steady, or we can sweep this arm back behind us, tuck it behind the back to play into the shoulder and chest and look down to the floor. Inhale, reach left arm up alongside the ear, look forward or up. And exhale, tuck it back, look down. One more time, inhale, sweep up, look forward or up. And exhale, sweep it back. Let's inhale and peel this back out into Virabhadrasana 2. Inhale, rise to straight legs, pivot the feet forward. Let's step to mountain pose. Once you come into this equal standing, pause for a moment. That integrity through the length of the spine coming up, and then everything on the outside being soft. What do you feel rippling here? Maybe the beating of your heart. Maybe tingles in your body, your nervous system. Maybe the pace of your breath. Maybe subtle tingles and sensations through your body that let you know what tissues were most activated in that last shape. Let's build this to our triangle pose. Widening the stance. Again, your left toes will stay pointing forward. Pivot the right toes out. That first movement is going to be tilting the pelvis towards the femur. So we'll inhale, arms forward, tilt pelvis towards femur, and then spine and ribs take you the rest of the way. This may stay hovering, requires a lot more core engagement, which is good, but not perfect. You can give weight into your arm, which is lovely, and not necessarily ideal either. They're just different. Keep the heart shining forward, whether you choose to stay higher or your body takes you lower. But keep this heart shining forward, as the key action of this shape is through the side body into low back, belly, over the hips, maybe into the inner legs. And feel this balance. Ride this line between heaven and earth, the heart tethered right between. One more breath. Let's inhale and rise back through to center. Turn both feet forward, parallel. This time, either bow down as we did in wide leg forward bend earlier, or interlace the hands behind your back, drawing the shoulder blades in towards each other, opening through the chest, maybe looking up a bit, and then bringing chin down a bit, and hinging from the hips, bow forward. For some of our bones, the hands stay really glued to the low back. And for others, the bones, the tissues allow the hands to come off the low back. Go to where your hands take you, whether they stay attached to your sacrum, or whether they come up towards the sky, or whether they come up and over your head towards the floor. Pause where the shape finds you and breathe. Let's bring the hands to the hips. Draw the heart forward, flat back. Rise up with the strength of your core and legs. And let's step back to mountain pose. Once back in mountain pose, give equal standing between the feet. Feel that integrity of perineum, low belly, sternum, throat, crown, soft outer body. Notice what you feel. Hold witness to this internal experience. This strengthens your ability to hear the language of the body. Let's shift our weight over to the right leg for balance posture. Again, firm up through lift at perineum, lift through low belly, lift through sternum and crown. Space here at the throat. There's many stages of this hand to knee posture or hand to foot posture that we'll play with. It may be that you give weight into the right side, and for you, you take your left toes and place them down on the ground in front of you, and this is your balance pose where you always have that little kickstand as you build the stability with inner ear and with the tissues. Now you can stay here or flex the foot and bend the knee. Again, hug in and up through the belly. This is your balance point. A little lift at perineum, a little hug into belly. That's your balance point of the Hara, the Dantian. Maybe that foot touches down, maybe it hovers. Maybe knee bends more, and for some of you, you'll wrap your hands around your knee, foot flexed, holding here. For others, you may have a more advanced pose of taking your left hand and holding on to your big toe. Come back up into the integrity of the spine. Holding foot or maybe pressing it anywhere on the pathway out towards a straight leg in hand to foot position. Let's take 3 more breaths wherever this pose has brought you as you play the edges of your balance. It's good work for the brain. Let's inhale and exhale. Slowly lower it down with control if possible. And then give yourself back to equal standing in the feet. Pause for 3 breaths and feel what's shifting, how the body is trying to bring itself back to equilibrium. Let's shift our weight over to the left side. Same thing again. Give a little lift at perineum, a little lift to low belly, a little lift to sternum, a little lift to crown. And from that inner core of stability, whatever you do with your extremities is just right. Whether you touch down and fret like you're testing the temperature of the water, or you flex this foot and bend through the knee and hover, or you interlace your fingers to hold this right knee, refirming up through that center line, that center channel of the spine, or whether you bind a big toe with right fingers and press anywhere towards straight. Let's ride 3 more breaths. And at the end of your 3rd breath, we'll begin to slowly lower it back. See if you can do this with mindfulness, and we'll ground through both feet. Pause and witness the release in mind, in body, in breath. Let's stay in the realm of balance and introduce the tree pose. Again, bring your intentionality into the balance that this posture practices in your body, and then can invoke itself into the intentions of your practice if you'll give weight to the right leg again. Let's hug in through the midline to this area that is your stability. And you can either take tree pose, turning left foot out, keeping the foot firmly on the ground. Having that stability, but sharing the weight through different positioning of the legs. Or you could bend through your knee and have the kickstand of heel coming into right ankle and weight into the ball of the foot. And that's more balance to that right leg. Some of you may take the left foot and place its heel underneath your knee, pushing into the side of the calf. And some of you may bring toes above the knee into the inner thigh. Let's stay totally free of putting any pressure to the side of the knee, as the knee is only meant to be bent forward and not experience pressure to the side. Hands can be out like tightrope walker here, or hands can be to your heart, or hands can go up and overhead, but that requires more from your center core if arms come up. Be steady in the lower body before the bows begin to grow. Get rooted, grounded, stable, and then from there the boughs of the branches grow. Let's inhale one more time here. And exhale, bring it down to the heart. Equal standing in your feet. Notice that the feet are sharing the weight more or less. It's just the meditation, the concentration, the little details, the subtle discipline and feel. Building tree to the other side as we shift weight to the left. Again, maybe right foot comes out and full foot rests on the ground. Or maybe knee bends so that heel comes into inner ankle. Maybe right heel presses into the lower shin bone underneath your knee. Or maybe it comes above, pressing into the inner thigh, above the knee. Arms may be out like tightrope walkers. Hands may stay close to the body or heart. Or the boughs of the tree may begin to grow and expand. Let's ride here for a few more breaths. Draw the intention of your practice into the practice of balance, of harmony. Rooted, grounded, stable, and yet able to sway and bend with the winds of change. Let's inhale once more, and then exhale, take the feet out to equal standing, and pause in Tadasana the Mountain. Keep a subtle lift at perineum, low belly, sternum, throat, crown. The inner integrity, the refined energy moving through the pathways of the spine and brain. Let's put these two balance poses together before we close our balancing sequence. If you'll give your weight over to the right leg again. Start with the hand to knee posture that you started with toes either to the ground or hovering or being held. Take what's appropriate for you. And then from there, let's open it out in the kind of foundation of the tree pose. So if toes were down, then turn them out. If knee is hovering, bring it to the side. If you're holding knee, bring it out. And of course, if you're holding toes, we can open this out to the side. Your body, your yoga, your practice, your meaning making. We'll inhale here. Exhale, bring it back through the center and release out to equal standing. Pause and witness the flesh that moves through. Every pose has a gift. Every pose is playing with the subtle energetic currents through the tissues, their water-rich phases. Let's take this to the other side. If you'll shift weight over to your left. And again, either toes come to touch, hover, flex to bind, maybe hand to knee or hand to toes. And then we'll open it out to the side, whether it's hand to toes or hand is holding knee, or whether foot remains on the floor. Find the gaze to one unwavering point and steady the breath, steady the gaze. Concentration, meditation, in the harmony of action and stillness. We'll inhale once more and exhale, bring it down to equal standing and pause. In a moment, we'll come down to the floor. And if a squatting position is suitable, appropriate for your knees, your ankles, your low back, you can either, depending on your bones, some prefer a squat with feet forward and coming down, and some prefer to turn the feet out into a wide V and then come down. I know that so much of the squat is dictated by the bones in your ankles that for some of you, being up onto your toes or having a rolled blanket underneath the heels can help support this squat. Know that a very similar squat, but without having to weight bear into feet or knees, is to bring it to seated. So take the squat that's appropriate for your body. Let's ride 3 more breaths. And then begin to set yourself back down onto the floor, hands to the floor to gently come down. And then let's extend the left leg out in front for Janusrasana. Bring the right foot in to half butterfly position. Now, if you're working with tender shoulders and neck, simply hug up through the belly, scoop up through the belly, up to the sternum and crown, and fold forward. Some of you will enjoy taking arms up and overhead, either out wide or more narrow, and then bow forward. When you find your forward fold, give a lift into your heart, a lift into your belly, as if coming into a bit more of a straight spine to start, flexing that right foot back towards your heart. I'm sorry, yes? I can't remember which leg I called for you. I'm guessing it was your left. Let's inhale here. And once you exhale, then let everything soften. Soften the extended leg. Soften and round the back. It takes us out of the strength, the engagement of the muscle, into softening some of the muscles to go into a deeper stretch. Let's hold here for 3 more breaths. On an inhalation, rise back up through to seated. Let's take this right knee and bring it, your right leg, and bring it up. Now, we can either build a twist where you take your left hand and hold on to that right knee and take your, I'm calling my tissues again. This one always gets me. I'm going to turn around. I had instructed you to take your left leg forward, right leg into half butterfly, and take Janusrasana. So now what we're going to do is bring that foot up, and you can either bring right hand behind you, left hand to your knee, and then twist back from here. Or you can open up the sacrum a little bit more by crossing right foot over left, and then lifting up through crown and twisting back. Or you can open it even more if you tuck left foot back, but listen to your knees, to your shape, to your bones. So all of us having right hand behind us, whichever shape we've chosen, maybe left hand can reach up to create a little space, and then rotate to your right and hook the elbow onto the thigh if that's your proportion, or maybe hold on to the leg instead. So that we're focused on the twist to the spine. Stay with the awareness of movement in the belly as you breathe. Let's take one more inhalation. And exhale, bring it back through to the center. Let's place the feet on the floor with the knees bent. And windshield wipe the legs from side to side. So let's take this to the other side. I believe for you it'll be right leg coming forward this time, left leg into half butterfly. And then we'll begin to fold forward. Either lifting up through your sternum, keeping a flat back, flexing the toes back toward your heart, or reaching arms up and overhead and then bowing forward. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Noticing that earlier in the practice, I was trying to mirror you. So I'll have the same leg forward as I did before, but you ideally have the other leg forward this time. As I harmonize that right and left cues in my brain. Let's take another deep breath. And then exhale, fold over the leg, letting the foot relax, the leg relax, the spine relax. And notice how different that is. They're both useful forward, single leg forward folds, but they come into the tissues in different ways. They affect into the subtle layers, into the movement of the bones in different ways, whether it's activated or more relaxed. On an inhalation, we'll rise back up to seated. And then we'll bring that left foot onto the floor. Again, you can take left hand behind you and twist back. Or you can cross left leg over to the right. That opens up that left SI joint a little bit more and twist. Or tuck the right foot back, creating this stacking of the legs. That opens up the pelvis even a little more. But listen to your bones and to your shape. Possibly taking that right arm towards the sky to create some length, and then twisting left to either hook the elbow and twist in, or to use your hand to pull that knee in and twist. Gazing gently over the right shoulder. And then begin to deepen the breath. Feel it in the belly. Let the belly move. Feel the ribs moving here. Ardha Matsyendrasana, the pose of deep listening. Tune your ear, wrapped with curiosity, to the subtle teachings within. Let's inhale deeply. And exhale, unwind back through to the center. Once the legs come unwound, let's turn so we can come into a wide leg forward fold. When the legs go wide, then they begin to push the hips together in the back. We were just a moment ago, we're opening them. Now we're going to push them back in and draw the attention into this channel of the inner legs. Now with the legs out wide, maybe here you feel enough going on in hamstrings or inner groin and you ride here. If you find, though, that this shape tilts you backwards, consider coming up and sitting onto a cushion and then taking it wider. We'll build frog pose in a moment, but know that that's an option too if you're familiar with that shape. Or even reclining on your back with feet together and knees open like a butterfly as we serve into these inner leg tissues. Some of you, to find the sensation in inner legs and hamstrings, it requires coming forward. And so come forward till you find your edge, your interesting, curious sensation, honoring that each of our bodies are different. And so how we find those energetic lines, those tugs, where we hold our tensions and stories that we're untangling, that we're unwinding, is going to look different for everybody. In part by how you've processed your stories in your life, and also from the bone structures who came from the ones who were born before you in your lineage. Let's take 3 more breaths here. So much compassion for our unique structures. On an inhalation, let's rise back up through to seated. We'll guide the knees in towards each other. From here, let's give ourselves a little hug like a seated child's pose, whether hands are at knees or you wrap your arms around. Maybe tuck chin in a bit. Knees can be narrower, knees can be wider. Let's inhale back up and shift onto your belly. From our belly, come down for a moment and feel. Maybe creating a pillow with your hands for your cheek or your forehead, and tune into the sensation of your low back. And if your low back curve or your sacrum feels tender, take your feet a little bit wider, your knees a little wider. If you're looking for a little bit more compression into the low back, you can experiment with taking the legs more narrow. Finding the right position for your back and sacrum. We'll slide the shoulders slide the hands underneath your shoulders. Tuck your elbows comfortably towards the side body until they stop. Now, hug into your low belly. Give a little hug into your backside. Let your feet be free here. And then lift through the heart. Lift through the crown of the head. Exhale and lower yourself down. Again, fortify bum, perineum, low belly. And then inhale to lift the heart. That's the muscles of the back contracting to lift you. And exhale, lower down. Notice how when you're not giving hardly any weight to your hands, that it's mostly the work of your core and your back. Now feel the difference this time as you inhale and press into your hands into Bhujangasana. Still stay fortified in bum, low belly, but see how the work then goes to triceps, chest, and upper back. Let's lower down. Take that twice more. Push into the hands. So we come into that work of the arms, the chest, the shoulders, back, and exhale down. I encourage you not to stay soft and slack in belly or bum, but rather to fortify them so that we protect the low back. Exhale, lower down. Slide the hands back behind you. We'll stay with this work for strengthening along the core and along the spinal curve. And on an inhalation, will you lift up through your heart, but keep your arms and legs down. Exhale and lower down. And just to work into the nuances of the brain, will you lift your right leg and your left, I didn't even get into the nuances of my own brain. We're gonna lift up through the right leg and the left arm, and then lower it down. And then this time, lift through your right arm and your left leg. Exhale, lower down. Keep the legs grounded and inhale, lift through the arms and heart. Exhale down. Inhale through the legs and heart and down. And then take 3 Salavasanas here as we inhale, lift arms, legs, heart, like you're flying through the air. Exhale down, or moving like a stingray through the water. We'll inhale, rise, and exhale down. One more breath. Inhale, rise, float, fly. Exhale down. Let's bring the hands under the shoulders. Press your way back to child's pose. Pause for a moment to feel. Arms may stay outstretched in front of you. If you're working with tender knees, consider keeping elbows bent underneath your shoulders. Some of you may like tucking hands back by the feet as you bow forward. Let's inhale and rise up to hands and knees once again. And shift the hands forward so that you come into a modified push-up position. You'll see through our whole series today, we didn't do a single vinyasa, chaturanga, up dog, down dog, but in service of continuing to strengthen an upper body, come into a modified push-up position, hug into your low belly, draw your heart forward, and take 3 little push-ups here, bending through your elbows till you know that you can push back up. For some of you, you may like taking this to plank position for like a full chaturanga. Feel free. Let's pulse this one more time. And then lower all the way down to the floor. Will you bring your arms out in front of you like a sphinx position? But we're going to come into a bind to the back foot, so you may want to take your right arm and bring it in like an angle. Let's bend through the left knee, flexing left foot, and reach left hand back to bind that foot to give a little tug into the hip flexors and across the thigh, this back bending quality. Notice how you feel this in your ribs and in your breath. Take one more breath and exhale, lower it down. Let's shift the weight back to center. You might like taking left arm in now at an angle to hold your weight, or whatever position feels like it aids you with your balance. As we bend, flex into the right foot, bend into the right knee, reach right hand back to hold. The encouragement to flex the foot is to help prevent cramping when we lift that back leg. Let's take 3 more breaths here in this half of a bow. On the 3rd exhalation, let's lower down and bring the spine back to neutral and feel. You may like bending your knees and windshield wiping a couple times side to side just to move a little circulation. And then you can either take that one time to each side once again, or we can flex through the feet, bend through both knees, reaching the hands back to bind the feet or the ankles. And you'll find that for many, taking the knees a little wider can sometimes make this more accessible. That's going to put a little more pressure at the top of the sacrum and SI joint. And others of you will like bringing the knees closer together for a bit more challenge. Let's hug into the belly, hug gently into the backside, and kick the legs back so that they work as levers with your arms, a traction through your chest. And then exhale, bring heels back down, forehead downwards. Inhale, kick back, bow pose. Exhale, lower down. One more time, this big opening to chest, front side of torso. Exhale, down. Let's release the feet to the floor. And press back to child's pose once again. You may go slowly. Hands may reach forward. Elbows may be underneath shoulders, or hands tucked back by your feet. Let's inhale and rise to hands and knees. Swing the legs around to seated position. We'll take one more strengthening position here. Now onto the abs on the front side. If you'll walk your feet onto the floor, knees up, and really focus on this spot, the lower lumbar vertebrae. As we're building core strength here in the boat pose, it's possible that for some of you, this will be your boat pose as you focus on lifting perineum, pulling belly in and up, lifting sternum, and keeping a straight line through that back as we're strengthening this core tissue all the way around. Now for others of you, placing the hands behind your knees, and then leaning back till feet hover, you'll be able to still keep that lift in the sternum and flat back. But if you still feel that you start to pour into the low back, consider taking a gentler variation along the way, all right? So we can lean back and flex the feet, or feet can stay on the floor. Hug into perineum, hug into low belly, lift the sternum, and experiment with taking one foot out, parallel, shin parallel with the floor. Maybe taking other leg out, taking turns. Bringing both legs up, possibly. You can use the strength of your arms as you build the strength in your core, or some of you may take the arms out. If that feels a bit too strong, hold on behind the knees and you can experiment with one leg out maybe, or extend the other leg out, or reaching both legs out towards boat pose and let it take flight. Hold this posture as long as it serves you. And when you feel ready to release, we'll bring the bottoms of the feet together and bow forward. Stretching out the low back that we were just pulling together with strength. Softening through the belly, sides, and low back of this core that we were just strengthening. Let's inhale once again. And once you exhale, let's rise back to seated and come into the inner groin one more time in the frog pose. Now, if where we go in a moment looks too strong for you, know that you can rest on your back in a frog position to get this tug into the inner legs in a more gentle way. Or you could flip over and maybe pad your knees. In this variation of the frog, consider bringing your toes towards each other and then bringing the knees wide. So it's not feet out with the knees. That's more of an abduction of legs coming out. If we bring the feet in, the femurs will more externally rotate with this opening and get into the inner groin. It's a little bit more dynamically. So you can rest in your hands, or you can rest with forearms on the floor. Experiment with where your hips ride, back towards your heels or hovering equal with your knees. And where do you feel the appropriate amount of tug in this shape? Let's ride for 5 more breaths. And then to release this pose, bring hands under the shoulders. See if you can walk the knees towards each other instead of sliding them in. And we'll swing the legs around to come down onto our backs. From our backs, draw both knees in and pause. You may like rocking side to side to massage across the sacrum. Whether knees are together or you work knees separately. Let's bring the feet onto the floor with the knees bent. And reach this left leg then towards the sky. Wiggle the toes or create a fist and then open the toes. Wiggle or create a fist and then open. One more time into those tiny joints of the toes, and then we'll circle through the ankle. Circle in the opposite direction. And then place this left foot onto your right thigh. By doing so, we've turned that left leg out in the hip socket. This is great for the hip joint. Or you could bring it around to the outer hip pathway alongside the IT band by bringing this into reclined pigeon, drawing right thigh towards you. Maybe you hold on the soft underneath side of the right knee, or maybe you hold on to the hard upper side. If this pulls your head back, you may like having a folded towel or blanket underneath your head to give you a little more support for your head and neck. Let's ride 5 more breaths here. And then bringing the right foot down onto the floor. We'll unwind the left leg and extend both legs out for a moment, like you were going to build Savasana, and feel. Get quite relaxed and notice what flush, what life force you feel as each pose has a gift. Let's bring both feet onto the floor with the knees bent. And take right foot up towards the ceiling. We'll wiggle through toes or create a fist and then open the toes. Create a fist and open. One more time. Circle through the ankle a few times in one direction. And then circle in the opposite direction. Let's place right foot onto left thigh. That external rotation is lovely for the hip socket if you want to stay right here. Or bring the left leg towards you to invoke the pigeon shape of tugging into the back side, outer hip, fleshy part of the bum of the right leg and back side. This serves well into the sacrum and low back. Communicating down the side of the right leg in the tissues that surround the IT band, this pathway of sciatic nerve. Come into the long, deep breaths. Part of the beauty of our yoga asana practice is that we gently, methodically, strategically go through all these joint intersections. It's at the joints where congestion in the chi flow can most likely occur, as the tissues there are the most dense. We take the body through all these different shapes to kind of flush debris out of the riverbed of the energetic channels of the body for circulation, for nerve pulsation, for lymphatic flow, tending to the mighty riverbeds of life moving through. Steady the breath and take 3 more full inhalations and exhalations. On an exhalation, we'll bring the left foot back down to the floor, bring right leg down to join, and extend the legs out long to feel. Can you feel the riverbeds of life moving through you? A coolness, a warmth, an icy hot, a tingle, an ache, a liberation. Let's bring the feet onto the floor with the knees bent. Place the hands down by your side body, and on an inhalation, turn the pelvis under and lift up into bridge pose. Sharing weight between feet and shoulders and back of the head. Feel some space on the back of the head, back of the neck. And then bring the hips back down. A little series for neck and shoulders. We'll inhale, lift the hips, sweep the arms up and overhead. Leave the arms here and bring the hips back down. Inhale, lift the hips. Exhale, hips and arms down. Turn gaze towards the right. Inhale, tilt the pelvis. Inhale, up into bridge, arms overhead. Leave arms here and bring hips back down. Inhale, lift the hips. Exhale, hips and arms down. Turn the gaze to the left. One more full round each side. Inhale, rise up, arms sweep up and overhead. Bring just the hips down. Inhale, lift the hips. Exhale, hips and arms down. Turn to look toward the right. Soft mouth, soft jaw. Inhale, sweep arms up and overhead. Leave arms here, bring hips back down. Inhale, lift the hips. And exhale, bring arms down, hips down. Look to the left. And bring the gaze back up through center. As we come towards closing our practice, bring right knee in towards your chest. Extend left leg out long on the floor, our supine twist. Bring right arm out to the side in a T position and guide the right leg across your body to the left to twist. Maybe your leg rests on a folded blanket or cushion. Maybe the foot hovers here. Maybe foot hooks behind your left knee. With this opening across your chest, turn your gaze towards the right. Deepen 3 more breaths. These forward bends, back bends, twists, and C curves to spine and lungs and rib cage, strengthening and creating pliability to these tissues, increasing lung capacity and resilience within lungs' immune system. Let's ride back through the center. Maybe hug both knees in toward your chest. And then take it to the other side. Right leg extends along the floor. Left leg is hugged in closer toward the belly. Left arm comes out from the shoulder in T position. Guide left leg across your body. Foot goes where it feels comfort, hovering or tucked behind your right knee. Gaze gently back towards the left. This left shoulder may be towards the ground. It may hover a little bit off the ground. But if it's quite a bit off the ground, as if you were trying to get your knee to the ground, see if you can bring the knee up and get the shoulder closer towards the ground, just to be kinder to the stress across the shoulder, neck, or upper back and chest. Gazing back to the left, let's take 3 or 4 more breaths here. On an inhalation, bring this knee back through to the center. Possibly bring both knees in towards your chest, whether you want to hold this still or rock, or maybe even take happy baby here, holding inner arches of your feet.
Take any stretch or movement that would serve you until we can begin to lower ourselves out, unwind into our Savasana. Give some space between the legs. Give some space with arms out to the side. If it feels tender to be on your back to your lower spine, consider having a folded blanket or cushion or pillow underneath your knees. If resting on your side would feel more supportive, rest there with using your arm as a pillow for your head or putting a blanket between your knees and ankles. As we settle into about 5 minutes of our Savasana, the integration, let the mind be free to wander. Let the breath remain in its slow and steady and unregulated pace. Find these moments of stillness to integrate the known and the unknown gifts of our practice. wherever your mind has wandered, bring it gently back to the sensation of your breathing and to the remembrance of the intention that you carried with you in the practice, sometimes remembering at the forefront and sometimes remembering in the mystery. When you feel the desire to transition, let little movements come to your hands, to your feet, maybe to ankles, to wrist, maybe in through neck and head. In some moments, you may wish to bring your feet onto the floor with your knees bent and gently roll to a side where we can lift gently through our side body to rejoin each other back in our seated position.
If you've chosen to come back to a seated position, or if you still remain on your back, you may enjoy creating the Bhu Mudra once again, where we tuck ring and pinky finger in, wrapping thumb to hold them in place to create that energetic current, and touching index and middle finger, the peace fingers, to the earth. Calling upon the intention of our practice, image, project, person, feeling, tone, or holding the tender mystery in our breath and heart. In this mudra, this symbol, this action of stability, the gesture to the earth, let's bring the hands to the heart center. And with the spirit of groundedness, in this spirit of nurturing and care, may we move through the rest of our day and evening filled with loving kindness in our thoughts, in our speech, in our hearts, and within our blessed bodies. Namaste. Thank you for sharing practice. I look forward to experiencing these meaningful movements and connections to body, mind, and psyche together again soon. Namaste.